This is Brandon Parker. Welcome to the Legends of Land show, where it's my job to deconstruct the tactics of elite land investors, how they think about their business and strategies that drive their success. My guests today are Stephen Jack Butala and Jill DeWit, also known as Jack and Jill. They're the founders of the Land Academy and DeWit family of companies with over 16,000 transactions and 20 years of experience. They specialize in land flipping and educating land investors. Through the Land Academy, they give tools, trainings, and community support, and they help others do what they have done in the land business. You can find them online at landacademy.com and their podcast, The Land Academy Show. In this conversation, we cover being an entrepreneur, land business, what sets the land investors that just crush it and make lots of money apart from people who maybe flounder a little bit, what great land teams look like. And one of my favorite parts of this podcast was the future looking aspect of how Jack and Jill operate, seeing patterns and macro trends. And we get into what's next for land, what 2025 looks like, some alternative methods to go out there and just make massive amounts of money and all kinds of just entrepreneur opportunity. These are the conversations I love, my friends. Without further ado, please enjoy this wide-ranging conversation with Jack and Jill.
The Legends of Land show with Brandon Parker. Deconstruct the tactics of world-class land investors and learn tools to build a seven-figure land business. The Legends of Land show is starting now.
Welcome to the show, Jack and Jill. So wonderful to have you. I know that you've both been doing the land for decades at this point, and you have tons of experience. Maybe we could start where you kicked off, how you founded the Land Academy and what the story behind that is.
I started buying and selling land in the early 90s out of sheer disgust for my job and for the way real estate transactions were happening around me. I was a commercial real estate broker right out of college, and by default, because of the recession at that time, economic recession, I went into buying and selling nursing homes on behalf of large clients because healthcare is a little bit more recession proof than any other type of real estate. And I unknowingly got involved in some of the most difficult real estate transactions that are ever created. You got to get state approval and federal approval and Medicare, Medicaid, all that stuff. So I went back to the drawing board after all of that and tried to figure out what the most simple type of real estate transaction could possibly be. Like literally on a whiteboard, I wrote it all out. And that is buying and selling a piece of land for cash. Mm-hmm. And it just parlayed into, we've done 16,000 plus transactions.
Amazing.
Yeah. It made sense to me at the time. And then ultimately Jill and I joined forces in it. That's when it really got big because she's really good on the phone.
That was like 16 years ago that we did that. And then Land Academy now, 2025 will be 10 years of Land Academy. It was really fun talking to somebody about that too. Thank you. I'm like, I think I'm qualified to say now that I can show you how to do this.
That's so good. What was it like combining forces? You said that you have specialties, and what's that look like? How do you look at teamwork for building land teams?
We don't let Jack answer the phone.
Yeah, not anymore. They only let me talk like
this is it.
This is the only exposure I get. Only two-way conversation I get to have is like this.
Not even with our staff.
I'm glad I can help. Yeah.
They let me talk into the camera, but that's
about it. Maybe at the Christmas party when we get together, we invite you for that. So that's good.
That's awesome.
No, you want to share about that? Because he was doing it all at different points in your career before me. You've done all the hats.
So by the time around 2007 or 9 rolled around, at that time, we were the largest seller of real estate on eBay. I concocted this scenario where we would buy land the same way we buy it now, through mail and through going to tax deed auctions, which we've stopped a long time ago. We stopped doing that. And then just auctioning it off, $1 no reserve on eBay. We were doing 2 and 3 and 4 transactions a day.
No way.
And
some even got to hourly. There was really a peak there that was like insane number of deals.
So it was great while it lasted. That recession hit real hard and everybody just stopped buying real estate. And so I thought it was over. I expected it to wane out, but not end like that. And then entered Jill. And she said, we had all this inventory, just a ton of inventory. And Jill said, who's your typical buyer? So I gave her a short list. She got on the phone and liquidated all of our inventory. I didn't know it then, but that was the beginning of Land Academy. She just, when Jill puts her mind to it with things like that, she won't get off the phone until it's all sold.
True.
And it's still like that.
True.
That's killer.
Yeah.
See, that acquisitions part or that sales part, it seems a pretty key team member to have, huh? And Jill, you did what, 17 years as a salesperson with the airlines, and so you've got like a serious background. So
coming into this, yep, I know how to sell.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so our line has always been still, whatever it's on the buy side or the sell side, he has one job, and it's to make my phone ring.
Yeah.
I don't care what it is, whether I'm buying it or selling it, I'll get it done. If there's a deal there, I'll find out and I'll get to the bottom
I
of
just
it.
keep the pipeline jammed full, and she creates real estate deals where there was not one moments before that.
And we've tried other things, and for us, direct mail has never failed. We're still doing that, testing other things, but maybe follow-up stuff, but still getting that offer in the mail just sings to people.
Yep.
And have you seen ebbs and flows in direct mail, or what's that look like over just longer terms? How's that looked to you, or has it just been steady the whole time?
That's a great question. I believe right now the response is we have the lowest response rate that we've had since I've been sending mail, which is probably around since 1999. So I think there's a couple reasons for that. Number one, there seems to be, Jill and I were researching this earlier today, this wait and see attitude in real estate. I don't know exactly what that's about. It might be election related. It might be interest rates and mortgage rates are extremely high comparatively over the last several years. So, but there's just this wait and see. And also, I think there's no denying it any longer. The mail scenario has a little saturated. There's a lot of mail going out for all product types.
True.
So what we've done is expand our product type. We're actively buying and selling mobile homes and single family residential property in rural areas.
When did you make that move?
Probably this year. We've always done it in the background. We just haven't really talked about it, but we've really stepped it up recently. And I'll tell you, it's a different acquisition. There's different responsibilities during the acquisition when you buy a vertical structure. True. You can't just sit comfortably behind your desk. There's some stuff you got to get out in the field and do it. We just spent 6 months in an RV going up all through the Rocky Mountains. We're looking at these little rural towns, and it was a blast, first of all.
Yeah.
And it was really profitable.
And very informational.
Really learned a lot.
Yeah.
What's like the coolest thing you saw on that trip? The most interesting land deal, the biggest learnings? Like, tell a little bit about that. Sounds cool. Awesome.
The variance, and for me, it was the variance in prices on a single rural town block. There's $3 million house next to a $400,000 house, and the asset, which just reeks of profit for us. But the asset difference doesn't warrant that kind of spread.
True.
So what's your approach when you see something like that?
To send out mail.
Buy it.
Yeah. We get
there's opportunity there.
Jill's an expert at getting a local phone number and a local mailbox, within hours of us arriving.
Oh, I'll befriend people. Oh yeah. No problem. That's the thing. If it's all real consistent and there's real easy numbers, it's no variance there, then everybody knows this is what I should sell for, kind of thing. But when it's all over the map, there's so much opportunity. And you don't know how to put a number to that unless you have some experience. That's the hard part. So, but for us, I'm like, woohoo. When I go into a market where he does the front end, he's a data guy, he picks the market, phone's coming in, and I'm going to look at comps, and I'm like, there's not many. You did this on purpose. I know you did. It's all over the place because then I get to set the number now. I'm like, this is what we're paying.
Yeah.
It's not rocket science. An economist would call it a market inefficiency.
Yeah.
So if you can picture like condominium complex that's in a high rise and it's got 100 units, that's a pretty efficient market. The variance in the prices are what those assets trade for. It's not very wide, but a rural SFR market is just by definition very inefficient, which is good for us.
And so are you finding those markets driving around and visually looking for discrepancies in the type of houses? Or are you doing the data research and then driving in, or are you approaching that?
Data research first, always. I have a short little list of what makes a rural town attractive from a buyer's perspective and what doesn't. If it's got It needs to have one or two big employers. In a lot of these mountain towns, it's in a university or a hub of a healthcare system. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I guess with your background in healthcare, that ties in. I bought some property out in Hernando, Mississippi, which is 30 minutes from Memphis, but that's the big hub for Amazon warehouse distribution. So a little bit of that concept there. So you're looking for where there's a job market, a growing job market, and then you're looking for some sort of variance. If you're looking at 3 bedrooms, there's $3 million houses and there's $400,000 houses. And then what else interesting are you looking for in those rural markets?
So the first thing I do is I go to realtor.com/research. And there they have multiple download options for all the statistics, or not all, but very pertinent statistics per zip code that will allow you to line up zip codes and make decisions about where we point the RV. For instance, one of the first statistics in that download, it's a spreadsheet. It's more than 1 million lines. And it compares each zip code statistically. And the first statistic that I look at is the increase in value month over month and year over year. So if a zip code has an SFR or all real estate types, and it's got a 10% increase year over year for this trailing month, now it's got my attention. If it's minus 10%, which is not that uncommon now, it's not, that the demand won't be high enough for us to go in there and buy assets and liquidate them quickly.
True. There's no dartboard in our office. Everything he does, it's
all data driven.
Yeah. It tells you where to mail.
Mm-hmm.
It tells him.
And then I can make her phone ring.
Mm-hmm.
And then she can close the deals. That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Are you doing this while you're out? For example, this RV trip, you're in Colorado. So you're looking at stuff within 100 miles or something and going from there? Yeah. Okay. Very cool.
For whatever reason, it makes sense for Jill and I, when we get into a little market, after about 3 or 4 days of it, we know block by block.
Oh, yeah.
We just have, I don't know, that just makes sense to us.
True.
I wonder why that is.
Most people go to these lovely little towns and their first thing is, let's go horseback riding. Let's do hiking and everything. Oh, no. We hop in the car and I'm driving and he's spouting out numbers and telling me where to turn and where to go because all we're doing is driving and looking at real estate. That's our fun activity.
We were in Durango, Colorado for 2 months and we left. And we looked at each other as we were leaving and said, we did nothing here.
I rode the train once.
All we did was real estate deals, you know, and it's not even work. Yeah. Real estate deals and cocktails. That's
about it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I saw Jill walking a property and she said her property or land is in our blood or in our DNA.
Yep.
Yeah.
Totally.
You can see that. That's so cool that you're doing. Have you always done the traveling while looking at land thing, or is that a new development?
Our third and final kid went to college and we were set free.
Yeah.
Oh. Cool. When was that?
About 3 years ago.
Right when we
got the RV.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Where'd they end up going to college? Michigan State like you, or where they?
Right.
No, he's at ASU getting a master's degree in accounting.
Yeah.
I'm proud to say.
Nobody wanted to go back to Michigan. Go figure.
Yeah, amazing. I know. The snow and the negative temperatures are so nice during the winter, though. But
exactly.
That's cool. Jill, where are you from?
Orange County, California. So I grew up in it. Like I watched my dad. He was a pilot. I understand you're a pilot. So he was a pilot back in the day. He was Air Cal and it got eaten by American. And then he retired with American and then went on to fly for NetJets. But back when he was getting started and I was growing up, he did a lot of charter flying and he was flying around like Don Cole and some of these really heavy hitter investors. And I'm like, I would get to go on rides sometimes. And I'd go in this guy's helicopter. I'm like, who is this guy? And why do we get to go in this helicopter?
Yeah.
He was buying all the Southern California real estate. I'm like, this is great. So I watched my dad get into investing a little bit, buying and selling, and just actually buying and holding and renting out homes. He did it in Orange County. Then he did it in the Dallas area years later too. So I'm like, I always knew what was there. And then my first real full-time job, I worked for some developers in Orange County where they bought the land and they built the office building or they built a strip mall like in Victorville, or they did one in Santa Ana, and then they leased them up and held them. And I got to be involved in every part of it, and I loved it, from dealing with the tenants to the construction loans and the bankers and all of that, and the workers. They had their own construction crew. I got to know them, and I'm like, this is it. So I pivoted to, I wanted to travel because I was in my early 20s. I'm like, okay, I got a taste of it, but no, I just want to goof off and have fun. So I went to American for years and then undid that, and here we are. So when this came along and we got together and I found out what he did, I'm like, oh, I can do this. I just love it.
Jill had the luxury of cutting her teeth professionally in a real estate environment that doubles in value every 10 years.
True.
And so when our professional partnership really kicked in, she was grossly overly optimistic. We should just buy all of this.
True.
And I'm like, I have property in Northern Michigan that has had the same value since 1980. It was worth $100,000 then, and it's worth $100,000 now.
Oh, that's great.
That same property in Orange County is probably worth millions.
Oh my gosh. It was $100,000 then. It's 10 million now.
We gotta hose Jill off once in a while.
Yeah.
Her optimism is offset by my pessimism, and right in the middle, we usually do pretty well.
That's true.
Yeah, that's great. You got like the optimist and the salesperson. Driving in, you got you doing all the data analytics. It's a killer team for sure, like that.
Yeah. When I pick a deal, though, and I come to him and I say, this is how it's going to go, I will make sure it ends that way. I will not let it fail.
Jill manifests her own success.
Thank you.
That's cool. Very cool. What do you think acquisitions people or people running their own little land businesses and things like that? Jill, just that little bit of just find a way to get a deal done. Some experience? Is it a mindset? What is it that just enables you to close deals? A lot of people wouldn't.
What is it?
You can't be afraid of it. You have to answer the phone, number one. I see a lot of people that are afraid to answer the phone. They have voicemail. They're using other things. So for me, especially right now, you got to answer that phone, befriend these people really quickly, find out if there's a deal there, and then push it to get done. You can't get back to them in a week or take your sweet time. You say, you know what? All right, I gotcha. My offer was $16,000, whatever it is, and you want 25. All right, let me see if I can make 25 work. In our world, I can usually make that. I know going into it, if he sent it out for 16, I could probably buy up to 30 or something because it's really worth 80 kind of thing. So I can probably make 25 work. And then I follow through. I get to know them. I tell them, here's what I'm going to do. I need a day. I'm going to call the county. Got to check on some things. Where are you going to be tomorrow afternoon between 3 and 5? And is this the best number? And just push it through. Don't give anybody any time to change their mind or talk to their family, whatever it is, and get it purchased. So that's what I'm doing a lot of coaching people right now. They're too slow to react. Yeah. They're not getting a number.
In every real estate deal, I believe there's a moment where you mentally make the decision to buy it.
Yeah.
And we see a lot of people in Land Academy that are really new that don't have the confidence or maybe the experience to make that decision, and they drag the deal out because they have not made a decision to buy it. And that's largely because they haven't done the swift amount of due diligence to convince themselves that it's a good deal or a bad deal. So it just sits there. That's really bad.
Yeah. And then they wonder why people go dark and things like that. I'm like, hey, you lost that one.
Either do the deal or you don't. And we go into every single deal saying,
I'm going to buy it.
We're going to buy it, but it has to be the right price.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of just a mental state long before you even send the mail out or make the calls in your case.
Mm-hmm.
That's intuitive. I see a lot of people get stuck at that same spot. It's like, they call it the due diligence. Oh, I got to look into this. I got to look into that. We'll get them back on the phone and start closing the deal. It's not about looking into stuff and getting more information. That seems like there's some sort of mental block there. You got
to have a number too. I always tell people, you can't say, let me get back to you. You have to end that very first phone call with a number. Don't waste any time. And if your number doesn't work and they say, call me tomorrow with a new one, that doesn't work too. You're going to forever be negotiating against yourself, Jack.
What stops you from doing is moving on to the next deal if you're not going to do it.
True.
You just get in a holding pattern.
Yeah.
You mentioned a swift amount of due diligence coming to that number. How rough cut on that number? How good are you coming to something really close? What's that look like? How do you coach people about that?
So I hate due diligence. I hate it. everybody does, I think. I don't know. I don't know
I don't
anybody
mind.
enjoys it.
Yeah.
So I want to get through it as fast as possible. And I'm actually, once we decide that the economics of the transaction works, which takes seconds, then I'm trying to find something wrong with it.
Right.
And so we have a concept called the 8 A's. It's got to have, actually I have them written down because
Good.
the people that you're talking to have to be alive. Very often they're trying to buy property from dead people. And it just, from a legal standpoint, it's very difficult depending on the state what to do. We look at adjacent. What is it adjacent to? Because chances are that's what the end use for that property will be. And if it passes that test, like if it's adjacent to a gas station, I'm just going to say no. There's EPA concerns and the world doesn't need another gas station. What up? Adjacent access, can you get to it? Acreage, larger is usually better, not always. Affordable, is it cheap enough? What attributes does it have? Is it on the water or is it in the middle of West Texas? Attribute lists. And then the final two, which are more personal, they're more about you than the asset, is abundance. If you're looking at 20 deals, chances are you're going to make a good decision. Right. If your pipeline has 1 or 2 deals in it, you're going to start seeing things, at least in my case, that aren't there in a positive way. And that's not good. And then finally, afraid, which we just talked about. If you're afraid, if you send out a mailer and you've got a pipeline full and you're afraid to do deals, it's just not going to get done. So you got to address that before. You just address it through education and experience. I mean, Jill and I we operate and instruct Land Academy, and that's what got you out of that mentality and into the deal making mentality, or we try to.
And do you do that with frameworks, the comping frameworks and the frameworks like you just said, or is it some mental stuff? What's the coaching look like?
All of it. Like we have anything that you want, from one-on-one hand-holding. We do group calls every week on Thursday.
Is hand-holding a Land Academy product?
We'll go out and walk the property with you and actually hold your hand. Yeah.
2025. Here's what we're doing. Type this in right here.
Duct tape your mouth.
That's
right.
And
we hold your hand.
I've kind of done some hand holding. It feels like it. So, okay, maybe not hand, you know what I mean? Yeah. But we have, some people don't need that much help and some people need weekly attention, and we have it all. But the main thing is too, we have a nice community. I think because of us, the way we came out of the gate was Land Academy just happened on accident. We were investors first. We weren't educators looking for something to teach, or professional marketers looking for something to sell that would make money. No, we've been land people forever. We've been quietly, happily doing our thing. And even now and then we go, why did we could have been quietly still doing our own deals and now we built this whole big thing, which has been wonderful. And I wouldn't change it for the world. It's because now I have all these people to do deals with. But Land Academy came on accident too. So many of our buyers were bugging us over the years, like, I'm buying it from you, Jill, and I'm marking it up and making money. And then how the heck are you getting it so cheap? I'm like, I have Jack. And they're like, what the heck? So we created this little program and put it on DVDs 10 years ago and this coming summer. And here we are today. But part of the education is we have a really strong community that feels the way we do, which is we're all helping each other. There's enough land to go around. There's enough. And now with houses and mobiles and all the things that we're talking about within our group and helping people, you're not going to run out of deals. We've done mailers in counties, and I've looked at him and I said, you know what? We've sent out huge mailers, like 17 and 20,000 units at a time. And I'm answering the initial phone call. It's comical. But I looked at him and I'm like, we could never leave this county and retire here, kind of thing. There's a lot out there if you know what you're doing.
We created Land Academy because in my entire professional career as in some version of an acquisition person, I was constantly running out of money. Yeah. And I remember the moment we sat down, we were on vacation actually, and I said, how can we create something where we have limitless capital? And that's why we created Land Academy, to create partners for ourselves. Right. And it really worked out.
We don't borrow any money, and I don't lend any money.
We don't have any debt.
None.
We have
I'll do deals with people. If you need some dough, I'll come up with it. I'll fund it, but I'm not borrowing, and you're not borrowing it from me. Now we're in this together.
That gives you a pipeline of basically JV deals with a lot of people that bring deals, and you look at them and you'll JV on the right deals. And then what's that look like? You're providing
I'm funding other people's deals. It's really great.
There's a huge opportunity with undervalued SFRs in the higher end range, especially now over the last few years. You can buy a house for $700,000 and sell it for $750,000. and not have to put any of your own money in.
Really
That's
fast.
very powerful.
Mm-hmm. What do those deals look like? Is it just you're comping the value there and then you're just flipping it? I mean, it's just a standard flip. How's that whole transaction go?
This is what we do from a data standpoint. The amount of data out there in the real estate space for SFRs is amazing. The amount of data for land is not amazing. It's very underwhelming because nobody really cares about land. Mm-hmm. But if you put an address of an SFR, you Google it, you're going to get 6 or 8 algorithmic opinions of what it's worth. So we take the average of those, and we do this in a mail merged offer campaign spreadsheet. We teach all this stuff in Land Academy and House Academy. And so now I've got an average of a bunch of very accurate algorithms, in my opinion. And so I know an asset's worth $782,000 or so these algorithms think. So it tells me what to offer. I'm going to offer 682. And we'll probably come in there and you do that 10,000 times, you're going to buy a couple assets and sell them very quickly. Houses sell really fast if you buy them below the market break point. They sell in hours, not months, like land.
So it sounds like there's some trade-offs there. There's probably less arbitrage. Are you still able to find those deals where you're going to find $150,000 or $200,000 of value in that?
The higher numbers you go.
Okay.
You buy for 1.5 and you sell for 1.8 or something like, because it's all cleaned up worth too. This is like Southern California craziness, but you could do that.
So there's so much more data, more competitive, I'd guess, to some extent, but you can make quicker decisions on pricing, and I may be a little bit riskier with the houses. You've got Section 1 and 2 reports and things like that. How do you look at that part? Do you see it as more risky or no?
Evaluating the asset itself, again, it's not very fun. There's an opportunity there to miss a lot of things, but we take 1, possibly 2 inspections, regular house inspections, and we look at them pretty carefully, and we make a decision. That's cool. I think that was your question.
I'm curious. I've heard a lot of people that come from SFR to land because they're like, oh, it's so much more simple. But then I love the idea of the transition back and forth between them because there's some interesting benefits. What would you say the main differentiators between land versus SFR? And are you going more towards single family stuff, or what's your longer term thought on that?
Land has always kept food on the table.
I don't see
that'll never go away for us.
It's good to hear you say that.
Yeah, never. I just love it.
Me too.
There's
a huge opportunity with rural houses now in these smaller towns because of what I call the Starlink effect. We had the first generation Starlink, just in a personal experience, the first generation Starlink in our first RV, and it sucked. And we have a product now that's bolted to the top of a different RV called In Motion, and it was originally designed for boats, and it's life-changing. It's on all the time. It's just like in your house or in your office. It's truly life-changing.
It's really cool.
And this is what I tell our members. I caught the financial wave of rural vacant land in the 90s. There were not a lot of people doing it. It didn't make sense to anybody with any amount of money. I took a chance and it really worked out. That's happening with the rural houses. We're probably both working from home today.
And back room.
So we figured it out, and it's not going to go away. And so why wouldn't you live in rural Colorado versus San Diego? It's half the price. It's more fun. People are nicer, all of it. So we're seeing a huge uptick in mountain towns along the Rocky Mountains, value-wise.
That makes a ton of sense. We're both doing it. I'm sitting in my house right now in the Santa Cruz Mountains, just like, why would I live in San Francisco? I've lived in San Francisco before. That sounds like a nightmare. Why would I do that?
Think of what your money could do for you 2 states over.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, Colorado. Yeah, there's all kinds of Idaho. I've kicked around the idea of going somewhere in the South. Yeah, but anyway. And when there's high-speed internet, that also gives, I mean, for me, I've thought about getting a place down in like Mexico on the beach or something. It's like all of a sudden, if you can have high-speed internet wherever you are, that opens up a whole world of opportunity. Yeah.
You have a good point, though. That was cool. I forgot about that. When we launched Land Academy 9.5 years ago, one of the number one questions was, does this really work with land? Like I'd explain the whole model. Then I haven't had to explain this model in years. Everybody gets it now.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny.
Buy a piece of land and you sell it for more.
Yeah.
That's our whole business model.
That's it.
That's Land Academy. You don't even need to join Land Academy.
Now you got
we
it.
just gave it all away.
Oh, you gave it all away for free. Amazing. But they don't get the hand holding if they just take
That's
Oh,
right. Yeah.
And the duct tape thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so interesting. So have you had any other kind of bigger visionary calls, either of you? I love the idea of being in rural land early and this idea of the rural. What other bigger patterns have you seen or do you see coming up?
Oh,
Go ahead.
oh no, this is all you. I have
That's
to hold him back sometimes. He comes up with
There's-
all these ideas. I'm like, I don't know how I can implement all this.
I love
He
that.
is always our forward-thinking leader, ahead of all the curves and telling us where to pivot. And that's one of the values I know that our community loves that we bring to the table is I'll say, hold on, give me 6 months. We're going to test this. I'll let you know if it worked or not. And then we'll report back. And then if it does work, we're going to show you guys all the path kind of thing. So he's always out there coming up with these things. Even today, Brandon, he's got this idea. And I'm like, okay, the last
I want to hear the
thing,
new idea. Let's hear them.
yeah. Before we sat down to this, I said, I need you to tell me how many hours I have to expect up front to devote to this and how many hours on a weekly basis.
She wasn't this nice about it.
No, I wasn't.
She said, this is where the conversation ends.
Yeah.
Go in a dark room,
Yeah, I
come
did.
back out with the budget,
Yeah.
and let me know what the time commitment is. And,
Okay.
and I hope you do none of that.
Yeah.
Because he's always got new ideas. Like we should do this now because we're watching what's
So
coming.
listen, that 2025 is not good for real estate.
Yeah.
We're gonna see what I'm calling now a price adjustment, and it's counterbalancing what happened during COVID.
Mhm.
So we'll see in a lot of markets. We're already seeing it in Texas pretty seriously. We haven't seen it in Arizona yet, but we'll see a 20 to 40% price reductions. Hopefully call it a stabilization because that's what they should be valued. They just got overvalued because of low interest rates and all kinds of stuff. And Starling.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
True.
So that's really we're stockpiling cash to buy a ton of property that's we believe is undervalued.
Yeah.
All product types, commercial too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like some
big secret.
Yeah, it's not that smart. You know, it's not. We're going to buy undervalued assets and sell them for more when it's time.
Yeah, duh.
Yeah. And it plays into your theory that some people are doing the wait and see thing. I mean, it sounds if you're stockpiling cash, you're almost doing that. Maybe you're not doing wait and see. You're planning for what you think's coming. But yeah, it plays into that.
He knows.
Thing. Yeah.
He's so good.
You can see the data. The data tells you what's happening. The market goes up 20% year over year. It's going to have to come back down unless wages go up or interest rates come down, and none of those things are happening. Wages are not going to go up congruently with real estate values. They're just not. Reducing mortgage rates are the only way we're going to clear out inventory. This is my opinion. Obviously, reducing mortgage rates right now has a catastrophic inflationary effect. So it's not like in 2009 where you can take interest rates down to 1% and let the market adjust. If we brought interest rates down to 1% now, the cost of bread would be $25.
Yeah. Yeah. Seems like maybe the only way out without a giant correction would be some sort of massive increase in productivity type of thing. We'd have to invent and grow our way out of the mess. But I mean, that doesn't happen overnight. So yeah, it seems like you're right on it.
This generation is the largest this new house buying generation, kids that are 20 years old in their 20s, is the largest generation in the history of ever. So we've been spoiled with that. Low interest rates and a huge influx of consumers.
Yeah.
I don't know how this is going to end.
This will be my second correct. This is like your third or fourth time since you've been full-time at this.
Yeah.
So he's seen it, lived it, breathed it. Boy, we struggled through it some years.
We're going to buy hundreds and hundreds of houses next year.
You're going for it. Okay.
With equity partners.
Maybe walk us through or tell a little bit of the story of those different corrections you've seen, patterns that you've seen that are similar. I think my first one was the 2006, 2007. I flipped my first house into that. I bought a house with a 2006, somewhere around there, I bought a house with a broken foundation, jacked it up in the air, repaired the foundation, had this epic flip I was going to do. And it was like, I literally bought like the Pico top of the direction.
No.
And so it's, yeah. And I was an economics major too in college. I
No.
had just graduated. I was a real estate agent. Thought I was all sharp.
You're like, I got this.
Yeah. Like I was like, oh, okay. Crushing. So,
is that the house you're sitting in right now, Brandon?
No, it's not, unfortunately. Yeah. I ended up exiting. My partner still owns it, but I was like, dude,
Okay.
you can take this. I don't want it. He's all,
Yeah.
I go, have fun. Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, I'd love to hear kind of the stories of those directions you saw.
The most acute example I have, there was a real estate depression in 2006 and 7. We couldn't give land away. And it's incidentally, it's about the time that Jill and I joined forces professionally and socially. And the first thing we did is went out to West Phoenix and bought and resold houses. We bought houses for $40,000 to $60,000 and resold them for 80 or 90 immediately, and all in one escrow. And those houses now, and before that recession, were $200,000 or $300,000, and they're $200,000 or $300,000 now. And I don't think that it's going to happen. That kind of devaluation is going to happen. Those are Wall Street bankruptcies and predatory lending, and that's not what we have right now. We just have an oversupply scenario, and coming off COVID, false. It's not a bubble, but it's just a false increase in value that just needs to be adjusted. And when it gets adjusted, that's when you buy. And the trick is, it's not a trick, but you just read the data and look at zip codes, and then once you get into a zip code, bring it down to census tract and figure out what's gone on in that market in the last 15 years, and you're going to see that you can see the future.
What do you look at there? So you're looking at like a steady increase. To talk a bit about what data you're looking at there when you dig into a zip code.
So if I were presenting this to Land Academy, our members in Land Academy, you would be able to see my screen, and I would show you this is what happened in this zip code year over year and month over month for median values of SFRs, which ultimately bleed down into land values month over month. And you can see in 2022, if you have a whole entire year, all 12 months, you're seeing values go up 10, 20, 30%. That's a real good indication of how it's going to come down. If it's flat, I always pick on Michigan because I'm from there. You don't see these crazy fluctuations in value in Michigan. It's always out west for some reason. I like to blame a lot of things on California because that's where Joe's from.
For sure. It's our fault. It is. I blame stuff on California too. I'm hiding out in the mountains here, blaming everything on all the city.
Yeah. It used to be just Southern California got it. Now the whole state gets it. It's kind of nice so we can at least spread it out a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. That's interesting. I didn't put that together earlier, but you're looking at the real estate markets and then coming to conclusions for the land market, or seeing that kind of as an indicator for what the land market. This makes a ton of sense because there's such better data there. That's so funny. I'm always just only looking at specifically land stuff, but there's more data with the housing. Okay. That's very insightful. That's cool. I have a kind of interesting question. So Jill, working at American Airlines for forever, I'm sure you've traveled the world, probably seen all kinds of stuff, which is cool. And so I'm curious, in your, let's say, international travels, it could be in the States, what's like the most interesting piece of land or like idea you had? You're like, oh, I could do that with this piece of land. Or have you seen any deals as you've been traveling that just kind of were crazy?
Back then, I wasn't thinking about any of this at all.
What were you thinking about that?
It was staying out late and having fun. It was that kind of a thing. If anything, I'd be following like a band around or
let's
something.
see where Depeche Mode's playing this month.
There we go. that might have happened. No, but what's interesting is now looking back, it's so hard. I know now I wouldn't have even tried it anyway, but buying and selling land in the United States, people still don't know that anybody can do it. It doesn't matter where you're from. It doesn't even matter your age. I mean, you could deed a 6-month-old a property. That's legal kind of thing. People don't know that. And you don't have to be a citizen and things like that. But the flip side is not the same. I can't just go to England and buy land, A, and B, the data is not there. It's not as readily available. Since we've been together, I've done Canadian deals with you, and I'm trying to think if there's anything else international. I don't think I've done any stuff
I
with
spent
you.
2 months in Costa Rica trying to figure that out, and
Yeah.
it was a huge fail.
Yeah.
The data's not there to get it. The velocity of getting a transaction done with the way the notarization environment is there is not conducive to what we do. And
Yeah.
the older I get, the more I respect that, slowing everything down.
And since we've joined forces, and I don't have that bug anyway, I love our country. Since we started, we've taken our sweet RV, 2 of them. One was really small too, all the way to northern Michigan and just had a blast. And there's still parts of our country that I have not seen and I want to see. We keep talking about, are we going to do the drive to Alaska like our friends do? I'm not sure, but that's a heck of a drive. So I just love doing this in the States. Anyway.
Yeah.
You want to get to know your partner really well. Spend 6 months in an RV with them.
That's so cool.
Share a computer.
Share one workstation.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, for sure.
Yeah. And a smaller bed than you have at home. That's also helpful.
Oh my gosh, that's great. Yeah, that's so true. The US is so great. I love traveling around the US. I think about the difference between Alaska, somewhere wild in Alaska, and then New Orleans. You can have complete, like almost being in different countries just within the States. It's pretty cool.
But it's nice since Land Academy too. I've got the opportunity to partner and fund deals in all kinds of states that I had not worked with before. So Jack came in when I came into the fold. He had a East Coast bad, West Coast good, west of the Mississippi kind of mentality that he liked.
Not socially.
Just real estate,
okay.
that thing. So that was where I cut my teeth. So now I can speak of all kinds of states that I have not mailed. We have not mailed ourselves, but we've done deals there. And I've learned so much. It's really cool.
We have multiple people in a product that we have called Land Academy Pro, where we allow our members to use our staff so they don't have to go hire their own. They're smashing it in the northeastern part of the country, in New England.
Yeah.
I never would have considered that.
Correct.
So
yeah. I'm telling them, do you need more money? I can help you.
Wife that are in Canada, and they're doing it all from Canada.
Yeah.
They're just killing it. They have 20 or 30 properties in escrow at any given time.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm thinking about it. She just won't stop.
She doesn't stop. No, she won't let up.
She doesn't sleep.
That's true.
She's like an infant.
Yep.
She?
That's why she's not sleeping.
That's amazing. She's gonna be deeding that infant all of that, a bunch of property.
Yeah. They're selling it. They're doing really well.
That's
it's really
so cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. I often wonder about that because I see a lot of people in Florida, North Carolina, Texas type stuff. What are some other random states you think that are overlooked but have opportunity?
I think the Dakotas are grossly overlooked.
True.
You have to buy, those are really rural markets, and the data doesn't really support, in a traditional sense, establishing an acquisition pipeline there. But if you get it so cheap that the person who's looking at it to buy it, an end user, the person you're selling it to, has that switch that I have to buy this. If they have that moment because it's so cheap and pretty good property, then you'll kill it. South Dakota specifically is the quality of data there is really bad. So that's a huge opportunity. I wouldn't advise it at all if you're brand new.
Yeah.
I would stick to the states that support it.
I think Utah's overlooked.
Yeah, I think New Mexico has gotten pounded land-wise, but I just read a whole thing about, I don't know why New Mexico is not more popular as a tourist destination or a move from California to New Mexico scenario.
Yeah.
It's just not. I don't know why.
Everybody knows Taos and Albuquerque. That's about it.
So
there's lots of pretty places.
Yeah. Mexico's beautiful.
I think Florida's headed for some severe devaluation.
There's beautiful lakes in Oklahoma and Arkansas and up and down there. The numbers tell Jack's in charge of all that. I think of, well, where do people want to go? What's great about it? Kind of thing. Where's the water?
Sunshine and rainbows gel.
That's right.
Nice.
Can you imagine if we've jogged about this? We reverse roles. What a disaster that would be.
God. Should do that.
I'm doing all the mailers. I learned from you. If I didn't learn from you, let's just say, so now I know, but if I didn't learn from you how I would pick an area and how you would answer the phone not knowing me would be a whole different ballgame.
Here's me answering the phone. Cool. You don't want to sell it? I don't want to buy it either.
Good for you. I got stuff to do. Yeah.
Nobody makes any money, and next week we're starving. Ramen noodles all over again.
Here we go.
So good. Jack, so you were an investment banker. You did big mergers along the way and things like that with healthcare. What's the biggest takeaway you had from those big complicated transactions that has transferred over into land, or how you just look at the land business in general?
So aside from don't do complicated deals, my biggest takeaway is just to run. I mean, there's so many ways to effectively and relatively simply do great real estate deal, make a ton of money in real estate. And it doesn't have to be complicated. We have a lot of people, I call them in our group, that have STEM related personalities and have chosen those types of careers. And no one can complicate something like a mechanical engineer.
All of our friends who are listening right now are going, yeah, that's true.
And half of our friends are engineers or recovering engineers.
Yeah.
I had a client, I did very well back in the day representing companies who were trying to go public. They would call me, and I had a couple of people working for me and retain us to go out and buy nursing homes or assisted living facilities at breakneck speed so that they could go public. And the result of that was really bad acquisition decisions. We got paid no matter what, but I watched all this unfold and obviously said, whenever I get to be on that seat on the other end of that phone, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to capitalize. The way that those companies are structured from a capital standpoint, it doesn't make sense. It forces you to make bad decisions. Mm-hmm. Private equity is built on that model, by the way.
Because you have to spend the money.
Yeah. We have $100 million and we have to place it. That's not good. That's terrible. Yeah, you should start with the quality of the asset and then finance it, not the other way around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Have you ever considered bundling packages of land together, or like doing things with bigger hedge fund type deals or anything like that?
Yeah, we had a guy in our group. He went to one of the original live events that we had, and I spent a lot of time with him. Yeah. And he created a group without me within Land Academy with a bunch of members, and it imploded. And it's for the exact reason that I just said. He created a fund, raised a bunch of capital, and the people that put money into these funds, their mentality is, this is probably something you already know, but for our listeners, what ends up happening is you pick 30 funds, let's say, and you put $5 in each fund, and you hope one of them ends up being Apple Computer and all of the rest of them die. Mm-hmm. And so losing monies or defunct funds is just something that everybody expects, especially in Palo Alto. Mm-hmm. So there are people that are startup professionals in Palo Alto that raise money fully knowing that it's going to fail. Mm-hmm. They're just professional capital raisers. And I'm not making a judgment about it, but it exists. So there's so much more money out there than everybody thinks for this stuff.
Mm-hmm. We've been certainly been approached.
Oh, geez.
So much. So people like wanting to give us money. I'm like, thank you. I don't need it. I don't want it.
And they say, where's my return? Mm-hmm. To which I say, here's your money back.
Here, which is a 1-for-1 return. Here you are. Thanks for asking. Yeah. I guess that does start to get into a lot of poor incentives and then a lot of expectations and all kinds of things to manage that just become, I mean, part of what's so beautiful about land is it's the open world. You can do whatever you want as an entrepreneur. And I think that kills a little bit of it for sure.
Still a little bit of the Wild West.
Yeah.
If you don't make money in land, it's because you didn't establish a pipeline, or the decisions that you made are not good. Mm-hmm. It's so simple. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't mean it's over. It means I learned. I'm going to get a better pipeline, get a better partner, and make better acquisition decisions.
There you go.
You can turn this thing on and off at any time.
Sure. So when I wind down, I usually ask 2 questions. One is if we bounced past anything that you'd love to revisit or want to dig a little deeper into the topics that we hit. Yeah, did anything come up for you? What did we gloss past you'd like to chat about?
My life changed when I got this business partner.
Thank you.
And so whoever you are and whatever void you're trying to fill in your professional life, get the right business partner, and your life will change. I can't express that enough. It happened to me on accident.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Back at you.
She never gives this speech. Her life didn't change because she got a partner.
I did. Yes. Wait. No, I do brag about you. Like, it's nice. People come into Land Academy, right? And they have both of us now showing them the way and helping them and being right there as a resource. I at least had you. You had nobody. So he figured this whole thing out all on his own. So I'm going to give you a little kudos. So before we did direct mail, he was faxing. I mean, the whole thing that we do, our whole business model was not copied at all. I got to reach these people. There's got to be a better way than trying to cold call 8,000 people in a week. But we could sure send out 8,000 offers in a week and let them come to us.
The world was beautiful before there were spam laws.
That's true.
You're just shooting faxes right into people's offices. That's
yes.
You've done so much interesting stuff. I love the visionary part of what you've done. Like when you said that eBay thing earlier in the conversation, it's like, dude, that's cool. Okay.
Wasn't it amazing? He got to meet Meg Whitman. He went to all these big events. I came into the tail end of it. He owned the real estate and eBay. And I'm like, it was impressive.
Yeah.
That's where a lot of those transactions came from. It was a machine.
We would buy entire subdivisions and just decide that instead of the land being worth $1,200, it was worth $2,200. Just reset the whole thing.
Yeah, you're making the market at that point. You're like, okay, here's oh my gosh, that's cool.
It was really cool. Okay. I just want people to whatever you're going to do, to just go in with both feet. I watch people, and it breaks my heart when I have people been with us for 3-4 years that haven't sent a mailer yet. They're like, this is going to be my year. I'm like, what the heck? I appreciate, soaking up the knowledge and being part of it. Or maybe they're here for the entertainment, which I question too. But I want everyone to succeed. And I always tell them, I'm right here. What do you need me to help you look at a deal? Motivate you to send out the mail, talk about answering the phone. You have us, you have this great community, and now we have 10 years going on behind us. We'll get you there. If you're interested, we'll get you there. But you need to decide first that this is what you're going to do, and you're just going to do it.
You know that moment in the first Rocky movie where Adrian says win? She tells him, and he's all depressed, and he's, I want you to go win. And then he starts training and everything. You can kind of see it.
It gave me goosebumps.
That's what you need.
I know.
You need that in your life. You need a person like that in your life, socially and professionally.
And if you're not that into it, get a partner who's going to put you there. Maybe you have a lot of dough, because we have people that come into Land Academy and they're retired, right? But they're not done, and they know what's going on. They're like, I don't want to work that hard. I'd rather be the bank for somebody. Great. There's plenty of real go-getters in our community that would love to partner with you, knowing that you're just going to sit back and be the funder. There's a place for that too.
Our biggest challenge in anything professionally has been staffing. Yeah. And I will never, as long as I live, understand the disconnect between finding somebody who's between just the lack of quality people that work for us or our partnership with. And I just, staffing is, if you can conquer staffing, what Bill Gates or Steve Jobs said, if you do everything right in life, you'll eventually just become a full-time recruiter. And we have not been able to crack that.
How do you think about staffing? Where do you find people? What's that look like? Can you talk about that a little bit?
I can tell you what we've done wrong.
Yeah, I got
That's very helpful.
Do we have another hour?
Yeah, seriously.
Paying people more.
Yeah,
is not the solution.
That's it. Let's give them a commission. No, that's not it. How about unlimited whatever? No, that's not it. That's one of the things that I do love about Land Academy is I'm working with other entrepreneurs. That's really all it is. I'm not bringing somebody in to work for me. I'm showing them, all we're doing is sharing our business model with whoever else wants to learn and show them how to make their own company.
We are acquisitions people, Joe and I. We are not operations people.
That's true.
We've proven that over and over again to ourselves and to everybody. And so when we bring somebody in, we expect them to take ownership. True. Especially even if it's in an equity role from a partner standpoint. And it's just shocking how that doesn't happen. They look at us like parents. Now they're here, and we're here to help them and tell them what to do and catch them when they fall. And it's the exact opposite. It should be, that's what they should be doing for us. And I don't see that as a generational thing or gender and I don't know what it is, but it's just how it is now. That's all I can say.
I think the percentage of people that are successful is smaller than we realize. It really is. I mean, the number of people that have really been successful in Land Academy versus everybody that we've touched is not a lot.
I just saw a statistic.
But they're good. There are some ones that just took it to the moon.
There's a huge number of new businesses that were created during COVID, and 85% of them are defunct now.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So they're not taking ownership in their own ownership.
I believe that.
Like this whatever we do, we won't let it fail.
No, that's not who we are.
And I'm not patting myself in the back in any way. I think you're either wired for that or you're not.
Correct.
And so what we've seen historically is people bold-faced lie about what they're capable of and what their background is. And we ask them then to take tests to see if they know Excel and they figure out a way around that. And so they get a great score and they come in and then they sit and look at you and say, all right, please parent me.
Right.
I sound frustrated. It's because I am.
I get it. I get it.
Jill and I've walked around our office for a decade and said, we're one employee away from making tens of millions of dollars a month installing mobile homes. And we have yet to, if you are an amazing mobile home installer, jack@landacademy.com is my email.
Please, I don't care what state you're in. We'll figure it out.
And what's mobile home installing entail? I like a general contractor. I mean,
you need to understand how septic systems work and how much they cost, how to install or manage the installation of a well and a shared well. And we'll do everything. And the mobile home installation part, which is simple compared to the other two. And we'll do everything else. We'll buy the land, we'll subdivide it, we'll market the property.
Have the thing delivered.
All of it.
Yeah.
Just can't find somebody.
That one little piece right now.
That's a beautiful thing. I mean, with the real estate, like the housing crunch that there is, I've considered in Santa Cruz area here, just in the mountains, there's all kinds of little pieces of properties, plugging tiny houses in and just, it would be unlimited as fast as you could do it. You could get rid of them. So it's a similar concept, but maybe that's the cool thing about the podcast. You have a bigger audience than me, but you never know who these things reach. And someone's, that sounds like a great opportunity. I'm a mobile home installer. I think that there's two opposing things that make it hard. I think just to be an entrepreneur, it's got to have both a serious bias towards action with that little bit of optimism, but then also some sort of analytic skills. And those things sometimes are opposing. And so that's what's impressive. I mean, that's why you're both have grown so much, is you have both of those. I think that most people have a little blend, but it's hard. I think the bias towards action is the thing that just is the biggest sticking point a lot of the time.
That's absolutely true. And we see that with new Land Academy members. To be successful in real estate, you have to have 4 or 5 separate talents. Or get a partner. I can't stress that enough. Get a partner that's got the talents that you don't have.
Yeah. Where is the best place to find you both online? Landacademy.com, I'm guessing.
Totally.
Fantastic. Do you do socials? Are you active on any socials, or landacademy.com the best place to kind of keep
best
up
there? Okay. And you can send a note to our team at support@landacademy.com. And they'll reach out any questions you have. We also, every Thursday, we do a weekly member call, and with our community. In the last, 6 or 8 weeks, we've been opening it up in the very beginning few minutes to the general public on YouTube and Facebook. So if it's Thursdays at 2:00 Pacific time, I believe. So if you just go on to our pages, you'll find it. And if you want to just be a fly on the wall, you could do YouTube and just watch us there for a few minutes and get a feel for us and our community and things that we're talking about. We're doing that too. Or if you want to you could even send a note to our team and they'll give you the Zoom invite if you want to just attend once to hear the whole call too, which is really beneficial because not only it's us, but you get to see the deals that our community is doing. We'll have questions sometimes about education, sometimes about a situation with a seller. How do I get out of this? I want to buy this and here's where we are. What do I do? And other things as simple as, I'm about to pull the trigger. Should I do this deal?
Yeah. Should I do this deal?
Yeah. And Jack will go, let's look at it.
We can really help.
He will look it up and go, all right, here's what I think. And here's what I think. You need to check this. And if these go green light, then you should buy it. And sometimes it's, you need to hang up the phone and go buy this right now.
And sometimes it's like you're paying too much.
That too. Yeah. You need to rock it back and tell them this is what you can do. And then it makes sense. So that's a good thing too. Just support at landacademy.com if you want a one-time invite, and you can check that out too.
Yeah. And honestly, it's almost irresponsible to be running a land business in your first couple of years if you're not part of a community where if you can go get that type of knowledge and just ask, what are you doing if you're not?
Yeah. Do you want to take 10 years to catch up to where we are, or do you want to do it in 10 weeks?
It took me 10 years to learn how to do this.
There we go.
And riffing off the 10-year anniversary for Land Academy popping up soon. Are you having a little online party, or you got any plans for that? Or
I don't know what. Yes, there's going to be some great stuff in 2025. What are they? I don't know.
Okay.
Are you going to have a party to Jill? That's not a
Yes.
question.
Oh,
She's
yeah.
a yes, we're having a party. I just have to
Totally.
decide how, when, where. Yeah.
Yeah.
Give me a reason to have a party.
Yeah.
She walks around wondering what she can have a party about.
Totally.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
How about upcoming like meetups or in-person stuff, events? Do you guys do anything like that?
We have. We haven't recently, but we should probably. We've been talking about bringing that back. Maybe that might be a 10-year thing. I don't know. We did one a couple years ago. We do a high-level mastermind called Our Career Path. And we gave the top one person joining. We said, we'll have one of you come in person, meet us, and we'll do our last week together in person with individual. And everybody in the whole room said, well, why can't we come? We'll buy our own tickets. And so they all did. And we all went out to dinner and had a good time. So,
You know what I'd really like to do, and I've tried without success, is to put together a live event where all of us are there. Seth is there, Jack Bosch is there, Mark's there. Mark and I worked together in investment banking before any of this happened.
Oh, wow.
And,
that's how Mark learned this. Mark learned from him.
Mark was the first guy I remember.
Yep.
So you guys are the real OGs of the land.
We did. Yep.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So
Seth
cool.
was in our group for a while. Yeah.
I would love to have just we're all there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think we could get
Have
a pretty good
fun.
audience and really actually do some serious good and some deal making.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. That's killer.
I don't have the staff to put that together. So again, Jack's email. So if you are a good event coordinator and you can put this together, please reach out. We'll show up.
Jack Bosch and Jill and I and Mark all live like within 4 or 5 miles of each other in Phoenix, and
it's hilarious.
It would be so easy to do it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, no kidding. That is a good ambitious goal here to maybe
Seth to our house in California though. Before we did that,
Seth responds right
away.
will.
He'll come.
He said yes.
Yeah.
The other guys, I don't know. It doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So cool. Wonderful to meet both of you. So excited to get to know both of you. What a killer. I can tell that your community is just amazing because you guys have such a cool team. So that's very cool to meet you. Thank you for coming on the show today. And any parting words for people?
Put a schedule together and stick to it.
Yep.
Go get it.
That's good. And don't be afraid to answer the phone. Just answer it. Who cares? Get a deal done. So.
On that note, thank you both for coming on the show today. It was a pleasure to speak with you.
Thank you.
The Legends of Land Show.